Hello and welcome everyone to our live demo today. My name is Rami Deep. I am the senior field marketer here at Rossum. And with me today is Matthew Brass joining us all the way from New Jersey. Hi, Matt.
How are you?
Good, good. So today's live demo is pretty straightforward. We're going to look at how Rossum AI-powered intelligent document processing enables teams to manage and process purchase orders at scale with extreme accuracy and reliability. I know you have the whole story prepared for us, but before we dive in, I just want to highlight to our audience members if they want to participate in the poll they see on the screen, all they need to do is simply scan the QR code and enter their answer using their mobile phone or go to the website menti.com and enter the code that they see on the screen. And with that, I will hand things over to you, Matt. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that you can take things off and see how this whole thing works.
Absolutely. So today what we want to talk about is order management, right? So specifically for purchase orders, what I'm going to be showing today is a full flow where I'm going to send in some documents to Rossum. We're going to process those documents. We're going to pull some data off those documents. And more importantly, what we're going to do is we're going to enrich those documents. So we have a lot of data, our master data that can include different things like I have my customer's part number list, um, and I need to find my part numbers, right? Or I've matched my customer, but I got to make sure the ship to is correct. I got to make sure that I'm pulling in the right account numbers and that all the rest of the information there is correct. So without any further ado, I'm going to share my screen. And the first thing we're going to do, like I said before, I'm in my email. I'm just going to send in my documents to Rossum. So I can press send and they're on their way. And now they're there. So let's jump to Rossum. So on the Rossum side, there's going to be a few different things that we see right off the bat. First thing that we see is I have a queue called purchase orders. A queue in Rossum is a place where I can put documents. I can send documents to it. It has specific rules. It has specific fields I'm looking for, and it's fully customizable. So this queue right here is for my purchase orders, and it is going to find the fields that I'm looking for that I've created. On top of that, it's also going to apply the rules that I have for my process. So if any of those rules are broken, I have flows on what I do in those situations. So you can see here, I have some documents ready for review. I have some other states as well, including postponed, rejected, exported, and deleted. For now, we're going to focus on review. So if I open up my first document, first thing that I want to look at is the left-hand side. So each one of these are my fields. And as you can see, we have data here. So you can see at the beginning of the demo, I just sent in my documents. Rossum hasn't seen them before. And then I look here and the AI has extracted all of this data. So everything in gray here is extracted by the AI. If I move to the next field, you'll see that it'll turn green and have a check mark. What that means is that this field has been manually validated. So I've looked at the field, I've validated the field, I've moved to the next field. Now it's green. Now, that being said, I don't have to go through and manually validate every single field. You could see here that this document's ready to confirm. It's good to go. I can press confirm after I've looked through this. Maybe it's a quick scroll. I can confirm it. I can move to the next document. Of course, Rossum also has automation capabilities. In the case of this demo, I've turned that off so that we can actually get in here, play with it, feel it, and see what it's like day to day. So I have my order number. That's great. My issue date, my carrier. Another wonderful thing about Rossum is if any of this information isn't correct, all I have to do is create a lasso and click on some more data. So in this case, it did pick up FedEx correctly. Of course, maybe in this case, I would have to show the AI what I'm looking for if it wasn't being picked up. Of course, keeps going. Great. I see there's no total tax. If I take a look, it seems like there's no total tax on the document. which is excellent. So another great thing about Rossum is it usually doesn't hallucinate. So it's not going to make things up or grab the wrong value. If it can't find something, it just won't fill it in, which is much preferred for me. So my amount due is right there. Let's get into our supplier. Perfect. Our customer name. Well, looks like my supplier address is different. So I can do this. Great example to show how we annotate. So I can grab my supplier address right here, draw that lasso, and you can see now I've corrected my supplier address. My customer information is right here. That's correct. You can see that I've actually matched that up with my master data. So I have this customer. There's my customer number, my customer name, and now I've matched this up to an account number. So I've matched that to the account number, and I've matched the ship to over here to the ship to number I have in my master data. So in my master data, this is perfect. It is exactly right. And it's matched up to everything I've needed to match to. And it's been following all of my rules so far. One more thing I want to mention, as you can see, we have the puzzle pieces here. That denotes that this is a master data field. And this is actually showing me information from that master data. So I've looked at my customer information. It's all right. I've looked at the rest of the information. Everything looks good to go. I could jump into my line items. So if I jump into my line items, you can see here, first thing is I'm grabbing my part number here. I have my description right here. I have my unit price. I have my quantity, my amount. And now if we take a look over here, I'm going to make sure that this is valid, make sure that I have this item. And you can see here, I've matched up the item. Another thing that I've done here is I'm actually pulling my customer part number as well. So let's say my customer had put their internal part number here on my order. That's great. Doesn't make a difference to me. I know the manufacturer part number, the customer part number, and my internal part number, and I'm able to digest all of those part numbers. So any of those could be on here. I can search, I can match data according to any of that, and I can find the correct part number and match everything up and make sure I process this. Enriching data like this is also great because I don't have to go and change things on the document, right? I know the different part numbers. I know how they relate. I can find just one of them, and I can always spit out my internal part number when it comes to actually processing this data, or always have it available. So you can see here, I've also summed up my line items, which is one line item, and it all matches up, and we are good to go. So what I can do here is I can confirm this document, and this will now move it to the exported state in this case. So I've reviewed my first document and everything was great. Let me look at my next document and we'll see what happens when maybe everything isn't as buttery smooth. So I get in here and you can see, same thing. Everything's nice and smooth. It's grabbed all the data that I'm looking for. This one actually does have tax, and this time I was able to grab that. And I have all of my information when it comes to my supplier, my customer, and my delivery, my ship to address. What I want to take a look at here is what if I didn't grab my customer information, or what if my customer information wasn't available on this document? So if you can see here, I'm going to delete this field, and you can see now I have a problem. So my customer no longer matches up, and therefore I can't look in my master data for that customer's account number, and I can't match this to a ship to address. So as you can see here, my confirm button has more or less disappeared. It's turned gray, and I can no longer confirm this document and complete the process here. So if I take a look here, you can see I have an error, and my error is that there's no match for this customer. So I made a rule that the customer is to match to the customer in the master data. In this case, it hasn't, which is going to be a problem for me. So I'm going to reject this document. And I'm going to reject this document by email. So you can see here, if I scroll up, I can see the email that I sent in today. I sent it 7 minutes ago. And here are the orders I sent in. And over here, you can see that it's actually kicking this email back to me because I'm the one that sent the purchase order. So we have a bunch of different flows. We can work with email templating for these different situations and who should be contacted or alerted. In this case, I'm just doing this right off the document and it's going to kick it back to me because I sent the document. So Rossum knows why it can't be accepted. We just saw why it told me why, because of the customer. So you can see here, it's going to write me back an email letting me know that there's no match to this customer, and therefore we can't accept this. And it's going to update my email chain in this case and allow me to move on, move through my day. Really nice, quick, easy. I can reject it right here. So if I reject it, it's going to send me an email. And you can see here, we're all good. I've rejected the document because I couldn't find a customer number. And I was able to figure that out really quick. Okay. We have one more. This one I wanted to go through because we have quite a bit going on with the line items. So you can see here, again, nice and easy. Looks like there's no carrier information. See, no, but there's an account and a shipping method. So, all right, I have a carrier field. I don't see the carrier. Perfect. I have my terms. I have my amount due. And again, just like before, grabbing all my information about my supplier, customer, and my ship to. Again, these all matched up perfectly, and I can move into my line items. What I want to talk about here is what it looks like when I train Rossum to read a table, right? So what we can see here is Rossum's read this beautifully. It's pulled all my information and everything's matched up. And I know that because I don't have any errors here. So my rules are being followed. Everything is valid. Everything is working out. But let's just say that I didn't pick up item code correctly, let's say. So I'm going to delete this column. And what we can see is, first off, that's not good, right? It's not acceptable for me not to have this match, and it's going to stop me from processing the document now. But what I want to show is how I can use Aurora for complex tables to teach Rossum how to read this. So first thing, I'm going to grab my item code. So you can see here, I can draw a lasso. So I'm showing Rossum how I want to read this column and what I'm looking for. What Rossum is going to do is it's going to read this column, and it's now going to read the rest of the document and suggest to me, you know, how it thinks the rest of the table should be read. So in this case, that's correct. That's exactly how I'd read this table. I can accept that. And let's say I had many, many pages. I could come over here and I can suggest next pages as well. So what that'll do is if everything is done right, let's say I just annotate a single line, I can have Rossum suggest this page and the next subsequent pages if I've taught it correctly. And for me, right, I only have to show it a line, if even that, right? And Rossum learns instantly. So on as little as one document, I can start to see changes in how the AI picks up these different fields. So in this case, I've taught it, it read the table correctly. And you can see here, I have everything that I need here. My items matched up, my totals matched up, and everything looks good as far as this document, and I can go and confirm this document. So those were 3 documents we just ran through Rossum. You can see the process is extremely quick and easy. Not only that, with the rules I set and my process flow in place, Rossum doesn't allow me to really execute this wrong, right? If any of those data points aren't available and aren't being read correctly, it knows what to do. It knows why it's not acceptable, and it helps, push me through the flow in the correct way. So I have my rejected document. You can see it moved to rejected, and I have my exported documents here. So in this case, my documents are here. I can also export these in different formats. So in this case, I've exported them. I'm connected via the API, and I push these to my system of record where they belong. They're valid. I push all the data out of Rossum. I can also push the data out in many different ways. So XLSX, CSV, XML, JSON. Another great thing about this is all of this is completely configurable. So We can help make sure that the outputs are, finely tuned for the way you need it, in the way of the rows, the column order. A lot of our customers take this information, they might be putting this somewhere else, and it might need to follow a certain order or convention to just be dropped into where it belongs, right? Another great thing about this is all of this data is exportable that we saw, and all of it is available to be pushed out of Rossum. So a lot of people will do different things simultaneously. For instance, maybe I need an XML, but I also want to, use Power BI for analytics. I can push that over the API. I can feed that, and I can create exactly what I want to see. Of course, Rossum also has um, a built-in statistics, and what this is going to allow me to do is to really take a deep dive on the documents I've added and how I can improve, how I can continue to, automate, and how I can get better results here. So you could see how many I've imported, confirmed, exported, rejected. I can filter this per queue, per workspace, per user. And if you look here, we have, a lot more analytics here. So how long does it usually take me to turn around a document? How many corrections do I usually have to make? What's my on time versus late with documents? How much time am I usually spending? Time and corrections, automation, and of course, document rejections. So I hope this was helpful. We see orders and the order management use case quite a bit. And I feel like we make life a lot easier when it comes down to it. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks for the presentation, Matt, and very insightful. I just want to circle back actually to the original poll we ran earlier, and actually 50% of the respondents, two people, have said that their biggest challenge is actually matching POs to invoices. Could you describe to us exactly how Rossum does that in an automated and at scale manner? I know you discussed it, but perhaps you can provide a deep dive into that process.
Yeah, absolutely. So, with Rossum, when it comes to data matching, we can connect to your system of record. In most cases, that could be maybe an ERP system, wherever those invoices exist that I'm matching to. So, what we can do is connect via API. We can also use flat files to feed Rossum, but nonetheless, we can connect to your system of record and we can do a lookup for all that information from the PO. So in the case we saw today, I was able to tap into my system of record to pull all different information from not only my customer master, but from also my parts lists. So if I was connected to my invoice, not only could I pull the part number, but I've matched it to the invoice so I can pull any information from the invoice. That means that
Mhm.
I can match on the basis of the price, the unit price, the total price, the quantity, any piece of information from that invoice. So the part numbers, I can pull all that in. It would actually look quite a bit like it did with the customer information. You saw that I matched the customer and then was able to pull in a lot more information that didn't exist on my order. In that case, it was the account number and the ship to match. So same thing. We can use an API to connect to that.
Tremendous. And I personally have a question, and FYI, for all those who are attending, you can add your questions to the Q&A, and Matt would be more than happy to answer them. I personally have a question for you, Matt, and you recently demoed to all of us the instant learning feature for 276 languages at the Rossum Aurora 1.5 launch. Now, I want to translate this to the purchase order use case. What happens if someone, say, receives a purchase order in a different language than they normally do, or they don't particularly understand? Could you describe to us that scenario?
Yeah, absolutely. So Rossum can identify that language and process that language. So it doesn't matter if it's in English, if it's in another language, I can drop that into Rossum and all of my mechanics and everything that I do is going to look exactly the same. So
Hmm.
the fields I use, the way that I draw lassos on the document or grab different pieces of text, um, everything is going to work exactly the same. It's just going to be in the language of the document.
Tremendous. Perfect. I think this brings us to the end of our demo today. Thanks, Matt, for taking the time to prepare this. And thank you to our attendees for joining us this afternoon or morning, depending on where you are in the world. We will have more of those live demos down the line. So please keep an eye out on Rossum's channels, whether newsletter, social media, emails, and all. We will be announcing those as we go on. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to email either me or Matthew, and we'd be happy to arrange these live demos for you. Once again, thanks for joining, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.
Thank you.
Take it easy. Bye bye.